are taking over the world. Right now, one of the up-and-coming players in the space is Barstool Sports. It's a privately held company that's grown from a Boston newspaper to a sports-oriented multimedia empire, though it also has some great stuff about food. How they do it? In part, they have terrific partnerships like Barstool Sports Business Podcast with A-Rod, the Corp. Wow, this is exciting. So today I've got a real treat for you. We're talking to Erica Nardini, the CEO of Barstool Sports, and Alex Rodriguez. No introduction needed, but anyway, A-Rod for short, retired baseball legend turned fabulous businessman and commentator. Ms. Nardini and Mr. Rodriguez, welcome to Man Buddy.
Great
to have you.
Good to see you again, Jim.
Now, you are part of an unbelievable organization, and I'm going to let Erica tell you because I think that you have the pulse, and maybe the only media organization that is the pulse of the audience that everybody wants.
I think that's right. We do.
How
We get what people want. We serve it up to them. We're funny. We have great partners like Alex, and we're continuing to push the boundaries.
Alex, the numbers are really staggering. I don't know. I mean, look, I have the privilege to be interviewed by you and listen, of course, to others before you interview me. And what, 500,000 people in season one?
Yeah, I don't know the exact numbers.
True. It was the number one podcast on iTunes.
Now think about that. The number one podcast. You're successful at everything you touch. What's the secret to have that many listeners?
Well, I think, first of all, Barstool has built an incredible brand that is very sticky. When you think about, I was at the Masters this year, at Wimbledon, at the World Series, you would think they would say something about the Yankees or something else, but they're saying, like, when is the Corp season 2 coming? Everywhere I go, the Corp, the Corp. When I go to speak at universities like Harvard or, Columbia or Miami, the students are just obsessed with Barstool and, of course, then the Corp, because we've had some incredible guests. And what's been fun about all the legends, including yourself, that have come on, it's really about the setbacks and the comeback. And everybody falls at some point, and they don't get defined by those mistakes. How they come back matters too.
Well, what I love about your guys' stuff is that you don't take yourself too seriously, but you still have a mission. Yeah. And I think the mission is empowerment, but the mission is also how to lead a life that's good, that can also change things. I mean, and I think a lot of it's what you bring.
About it. Yeah, right? Absolutely. We believe in honesty and authenticity. We want to be on the pulse of what's happening right at that very moment, and we want to be around people who we think have something to say.
How can you stay fresh? There are a lot of people who have the old view. And I happen to like the old view too, because I think Portnoy is a genius, okay? But there's a sense that, well, how can these people keep it fresh and also fresh without losing, let's say you've got a much bigger audience now. It sounds like it's got to be a little bit more broad and maybe not as, like, funky, dirty.
No,
how you want to put it?
I mean, Portnoy is a genius, and you know what? He surrounded himself with 60 other geniuses. We're bigger than ESPN Digital, we're bigger than Turner, we're bigger than the New York Times, we're bigger than the Washington Post. We're the 48th biggest publisher in the U.S., so that's pretty fresh for a company that's 1/100th of those companies' size.
But I think that I've talked to you about this privately, but I happen to think that this is a billion-dollar company because I think that it's such a hard audience to get to. But people don't realize this. Look, you are reaching these people. If you were just you have a great year on baseball and something, but the fact is you are reaching people who don't watch a lot of TV.
That's right. And we're reaching the next generation. And you and I speak to a very kind of, in many sense, 1% audience in some sense. In the other sense, baseball is a little bit of an older demographic. When it comes to the Corp, for me, it was such an easy partnership because from the first 5 minutes I met Erica, I said, I want to be partners with Erica for the next few decades. And then we got a deal that was a win-win deal for both of us, and that was the easiest part. And then I have Dan Katz as my partner.
By the way, is fabulous. I asked for him before. He is fabulous.
He is awesome.
He's fabulous. People should listen. He's got the number 2, right? Number 2 podcast in the whole country. He's brilliant.
Dan Katz has the number 1 podcast, sports podcast in the world.
Isn't that incredible?
It's amazing.
And all under one roof.
And we make the perfect partnership because he's funny and I'm not, and it's very great. But to your point about like keeping it fresh, is we have this wide breadth of people like yourself, Martha Stewart, Barry Sternlicht, Dylan Lauren,
Kevin Bacon, Howard Schultz, like a whole handful of folks.
You never know.
Yeah,
I love it because you never know. It's like the old Carson show. When Carson would have someone, holy cow, I guess Carson likes that person. When I hear A-Rod has someone, I think, wow, endorsement. You wouldn't put on people that you don't think are scintillating. And you care tremendously about your audience liking it, as do you. And I want to talk about all the other things that you're thinking that you're doing. Gold, One Bite, which is another, that's to me a super sophisticated Yelp. How do you come up with these things?
Our content guys lead most of it. So Dave, Dan, PFT commenter, all of our cast has a ton of ideas, and we are just extremely entrepreneurial. That's what I love about the Corp, which is it's really a story about being an entrepreneur. And we do that every day.
So the new season starting.
Yes.
Now, when you do you envision podcasts to be one day to be bigger? I actually mean this. Bigger than TV.
I think it has. Look, I think TV is never going away. I think there's still, when you talk about, whether Dallas or Yankees, World Series or Super Bowl, there's always going to be primetime television. But I think podcast is a more intimate way of connecting with the next generation. There's something about going for a jog and putting, the headphones on, or going on a car ride. There's an intimacy about it, and it's amazing the stickiness of Barstool. But the Corp, it's connected me to a level almost like being a Yankee and winning a championship. People just believe in it, and you're teaching them and you're inspiring them.
Great analysis, because I know that the deals for podcasts now are like TV deals. I mean, it's real money. Now, a lot of people feel you do skew male, 73%, but you have the #1 female podcast
in the world.
Tell us about it.
So Caller Daddy is a juggernaut. We have a female podcast. We have 2 fantastic hosts. They talk about sex. They talk about relationships. They're raunchy. They're funny. And they're a phenomenon.
Well, I got to tell you, I think that the misperceptions, when you have 11.1 million monthly video views, 1.6 billion monthly social views, the idea that somehow you are, not that look, I watched David from the day he started, but the idea that you are just this niche, younger guys thing is so wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, the broadness of what you've got, which is one of the reasons why I think there are a lot of people who are hoping one day to own a share. Own a share of Barstool. Possible?
Possible, for sure. First, we're going to start with the #1 business podcast, and then maybe we'll get you an IPO.
And how is baseball season going?
Baseball's going great. I mean, we have such an amazing season going on. Anytime the great titans of the game, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Cubs, anytime they're in the forefront is good for business. The Yankees are a juggernaut. The Dodgers are unbelievable. And Houston became the favorite because they got more pitching than the 99 Yankees. So, one more thing about Barstool and kind of where we're at right now, I think if you think about what Bob Iger's trying to do at Disney, ESPN just passed 2 million in subscribers, ESPN Plus. Disney Plus is next. Disney's coming after Netflix, trying to eat their lunch.
Right.
If you think about Barstool, when you talk about a billion, maybe multiple billions, because the head start, it is hard to catch up to the avalanche that you've built. Hard to catch up to the avalanche the Yankees have built.
Right on. Yes, great example.
Yeah.
I also, a new show on CNBC, Back in the Game, starting in the fall.
Yeah, very excited. Well, we have Ryan Lochte, which is a great story. He's getting ready for the Olympics.
Yes.
Hopefully in Tokyo. He just won a big race this week. Ryan Lochte is an amazing comeback story. And when you think about the great Evander Holyfield, the real deal, I spent the last 6 months with him. He's on his way back. And he's a fascinating guy, a very lovable
I was on
guy.
The Apprentice with him. He's a terrific, terrific guy. Well, look, I want to thank both of you. That's A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez, founder and CEO of A-Rod Corp. What a podcast. And Barstool Sports CEO Erica Nardini, who I hope will allow us to have a share one day in Barstool Sports. Mad Money's back into the break.
Don't miss a second of Mad Money. Follow @Jim Cramer on Twitter. Have a question? Tweet Cramer. #MadTweets. Send Jim an email to madmoney@cnbc.com or give us a call at 1-800-743-CNBC. Miss something? Head to madmoney.cnbc.com.